Here from Real Life Medicine with another episode of Keto in the Non-Car. I'm running a little late this morning, my apologies. And in fact, you can see I'm a bit out of control. I'm actually on holidays. Well, not that we can go anywhere, so I'm on leave and just doing some relaxation and resting at home, which leads me into this morning's topic, bearing in mind that this week is all about your heart. So, what I wanted to talk about is stress management and heart health. Now, I know people get sort of bored or resistant to the idea of stress management. I don't know why, because when we're stressed, it's not a really nice feeling. Like a little bit of stress is okay, but when we're overstressed, we don't like it. But we're not very good at doing anything about it. Morning, Bern, darling. How are you? And so I really want to talk this morning about how important stress management is for your heart's health. Morning, Jackie, darling. So, what happens when we're stressed is that all of our stress hormones become elevated. So, cortisol, adrenaline, and noradrenaline, they're our stress hormones, and they come that it we they are elevated as part of our primal response to what we may perceive to be a threat. Now, again, as humans in 2020, the threats to our physical being are fairly minimal. We don't have to worry anymore about survival and getting eaten or having to deal with those sorts of things. It is rare in our human experience to deal with physical threats. They're not impossible. I mean, there are gangs and there's gang violence and there's crime and those sorts of things. So that would be an example of our appropriate primitive response to threat. But for the majority of us, the threat is things like, a deadline at work, too many things to get done during the day, responding to things like, crashing the car, a minor bingle, not a major, life-threatening stress of crashing the car, but, getting a speeding fine, all of those sorts of things are what causes our stress. Now, the thing is that none of this is good for our heart in a long-term capacity, okay? Because this is the thing with our stress. It's not that it just happens once. It's not that there's just one time in the year that we, get a speeding fine, or that we drop all the shopping on the floor, or that the kids are going crazy, or that we've got a deadline that we need to meet at work, or that we've, got just too much on our plate. You remember that term? So this is something that happens every day. We have these micro stresses, they're called. And it's a little bit, just a little bit of stress and another little bit of stress, and they add up like compound interest in the bank. And long-term chronic stress is not good for us. It's not good for a whole pile of things, but it's certainly not good for our heart. When I went to medical school, and I know it was a long time ago, they always put in type A personality in as a risk factor for stress. And it's gone now because it wasn't actually type A personality. It's often people with too much on, okay? Not enough time just sitting. In our membership group last night, we had a wonderful talk from Dr. Emily Amos, who's a mindfulness expert. And she was talking about the idea that we are addicted to stimulation, that when we try and do some mindfulness, we don't want to do it. Our body and our brain go, oh no, this is uncomfortable. I like to be entertained. Thank you very much. So we have to start baby steps with something like meditation. It is incredibly powerful. It's free. It has no side effects. It doesn't interact with medications. it will help your heart. It lowers a lot of those stress hormones that we just go on in the background. So I really recommend giving it a go. I know there's apps that you can use in our group. We've got, for those of you who are watching, I know we have got, recorded meditations guided to help you. But even if you just stop thinking about the future, stop dwelling on the past, and concentrate on what you're doing in the here and now, as benign as it might be something like unpacking the shopping. It might be something like mowing the lawn. It might be washing the dishes. Actually dive into that moment. That itself is mindfulness. It's really good for us because when we're focused on what we're doing right now, we're not worried about the meeting that we've got in 2 weeks' time. We're not focusing on how many things are on the to-do list. And we're not dwelling on that argument we had with the dude at work. We are just in the here and now. And when we do that, there is no need for our body to be in fight and flight mode. So, my lovelies, that's the end of today's talk. Meditating is good for your heart. It's good for your lots of things, but because we're talking about heart this week, it's good for your heart. Go forth and meditate. Bye, my beautifuls.